Just first off, my name's Josh. Josh.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Just trying to get ahead in life.
Yes, your girlfriend Brooke was telling us about the huge expenditures, the cost of living, just the increased cost of living that's just getting out of control there. And she says you work in the construction industry and you have you have hindsight on what's going on there.
Yeah, well, I've been building and in the construction industry for about 15 years now,
Okay.
and yeah, it's getting pretty crazy. Like, your first home buyers can't buy into the market, and then the people who we do work for are mainly sort of investors who own a handful of properties for rental.
Yes.
And then, so we do a lot of renovations on old villas.
Mm-hmm. Are you finding a lot of black mold problems or poorly constructed renos when you're going through homes and when you're restructuring? Are you finding a lot of crap?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of black mold. Well, probably 80% of the houses that I go into, there's some trace of black mold.
Yeah, because that's pretty toxic. Because I have a couple of articles open here. Mold, sweet mold, inside New Zealand's damp housing crisis. So somebody in the comments section told me, well, in New Zealand, what people need to do is they need to open their windows and ventilate the house and do this and do that and proper ventilation. Dude, I'm going to tell you straight up, I've never ventilated a house in my entire life. So, is it different in New Zealand,
Yeah.
or what's the deal?
Yeah, that's a lot of people recommend that, but I mean that's pretty hard to do. You shouldn't have to ventilate your house to stop condensation.
Right.
It's
Yeah, because that's becoming a problem. Because people are saying, "Oh, you're not taking the precautions." What precautions?
Yeah.
Maybe in the southern hemisphere things are a bit different. I'm not too sure, right? So,
we get we've got pretty damp conditions, and a lot of wind-driven rain gets into our houses,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of our housing stock is very old. Most of the stuff that we work on in our company personally, a lot of them are 120-year-old houses.
Boom. Is New Zealand even that old?
Yeah. And in the areas that we work in, which is actually the richer areas of town, yeah, the houses are. That's 120 is the oldest 118. Sorry, was the oldest we've worked on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but these houses, in a light breeze, you can feel it's colder inside than outside most days.
Oh, it's one of those. It's one of those. Okay, you know what?
Yeah.
I stayed in a house in Mexico that was like that, where it was colder inside than it was out. But that's okay, because it was always 30 degrees Celsius where I was living. So it was better that was colder in. You know what I mean, right? But
Yeah, well, our sort of in winter, our temperatures range between sort of on average 2 to 3 degrees in the city of Wellington to about, I don't know, 13 or 14 degrees when it's warm.
okay.
And that's Celsius.
Yes, centigrade. Okay. So, tell us a demolition project story. Something that just can't escape your mind. A black mold or some story in a renovation that you'll never forget. Tell us.
Well, just on a house that we're working on at the moment,
Mm-hmm.
it's a Austrian kit set house that's had a renovation added onto it, and we were just going to alter a few walls. And when we took off what we thought was going to be jib, was actually just a 5 mil thick cardboard over the top of sort of 7 mil thick tongue and groove, real brittle board, and the walls had no studs inside them. And it has a concrete roof, a concrete tiled roof. So we were kind of shocked that the house was even standing.
But what if you know if you get thrown into a wall, what happens?
Well, there's a good question. We were joking all day that one of us could just put our head through it. You know.
But then, is this house like 100 years old or something, or is it an older home? Is that why? Or
this house is only, I think it was made in the 60s.
Wow.
Brought over and built.
Wow.
But like our average sort of job, we take apart, houses that are maybe on average 80 years old, and when we open them up, there's no insulation.
Well, are these people against? Are these people against? I mean, is there, like I asked the last person I spoke to, is there some sort of a boycott or embargo against insulation coming into the country, or what's like?
No, that's insulation is not that expensive. The problem is that we've got a lack of tradespeople. So that's forcing the prices up. I mean, it's good for me because. There's less of us around, so I get paid more. But at the same time, there's just so much work that could be done that can't be done because we don't have the workers.
Oh, so there's a shortage of manpower.
Not manpower, skilled power.
Skilled trades. Where is the skilled tradesmen going? Are they fleeing to Australia or?
Yeah, a lot of our tradespeople move to Australia. They just pay better. It's better lifestyle there for a lot of people.
Okay. Because I'm getting a lot of it's definitely warmer. It's further north, but I'm getting a lot of feedback from the people in Australia that the cost of living is just horrendous there, just like where you are, and the cost of living is out of control, and it's almost impossible to travel because the price of everything's so damn expensive.
Yeah, well, I mean, to buy petrol at the moment, it's, what was it, $2.60, I believe, a litre.
Wow. Do you own?
Yeah, I mean.
Do you own shares in a petrol company?
Me personally.
I'm joking. It's a joke. It's a joke. I would buy shares.
I wish I did.
But wow. So we'll get the comment section rolling, guys. Any questions you guys have, please. Let me know. He's down in New Zealand. He is a construction worker. So can you give us a ballpark figure what it costs to build the average home there? What are we looking at? 3-bedroom, 2-bath? Or 3-bedroom, 1-bath? 1-story, I guess.
The average home in New Zealand would be a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, maybe a garage. And you're looking at about 130,000 to build new, 140.
Okay. So it's very reasonable if you own land.
Yeah. The problem is that getting land in areas where there is, good infrastructure, good
foundation,
work opportunities. Mm-hmm. It's kind of tricky because most of the work for the last sort of 20 years has been in the large cities.
Yes.
So all the rural areas have just been left behind.
Interesting.
And now that the pricing for housing is so expensive in the cities, the city people are moving back to the little towns.
Yes. Mass exodus. There's a mass exodus right now in Auckland, and in where's that other city there? There's a couple of cities where there's a mass exodus right now.
Yeah, Wellington, where we are, a lot of people are moving out of Wellington. A lot of people are moving out of Auckland. Yeah, just the two big cities, and also a lot of people are moving north from the South Island.
So the South. The South. Okay. Because I spoke to someone from the South Island from Christchurch the other day, and I was getting filled in on what's going on with the black mold and the whole meth testing crap. and
Yeah.
that's a lot of
Yeah,
stress on the family, man. That's a lot. So you guys are planning on moving? Are you moving out of town? Are you moving? Are you moving like really far from where you work, or is it going to be feasible, or?
well, where we're moving is back to my hometown where I was born, where I was brought up.
Okay.
And as it is, there's a lot of people moving there from Auckland and buying the houses, and there's a lot of renovation, and the city's actually starting to improve and build on what it used to be.
Yeah, a lot of work for you too. Lots of work involved. Lots of work available for you.
So I'm hoping to take advantage of the whole situation.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. And yeah, take advantage of that. Don't get in there, get some business cards made, do some side jobs too. Side jobs pay well. If you could do weekend, just like hey, if somebody needs a window installed, or somebody needs to do something with some just some concrete or something, just do it, man. If you can.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do. When I'm not relaxing in the evenings after work, then I'm trying to make money. So.
So the question is that a lot of people, I guess, are leaving these major cities. But why are people fixing homes in Europe? I mean, are they re-renovating so they could sell? Are there people fixing to sell to get out of the market, or people are fixing to rent out?
I think there's a lot fixing to rent out that I know personally. Mm-hmm. But also there's a lot of first home buyers that just can't buy in the cities, so they have to move to these small towns. Mm-hmm. And but the prices in the small towns are skyrocketing. In the last year, the average price where we're looking to buy has gone up about $50,000.
50 large?
50 large.
That's a lot. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago, before this sort of bubble started really kicking in, I was looking at houses there to buy. This is in my hometown of Wanganui.
Okay.
And the average house price there for a 3-bedroom with a quarter-acre section and a garage, fenced off, you're looking at about $70,000.
Okay.
Within about 3 or 4 years, that skyrocketed to $180,000 to $220,000.
Holy smokes!
So these houses aren't. And the thing is that in the cities, most people are having to spend something like $100,000 over retail value, over the actual estimated value of the property in the house, just to buy the house.
Just to buy the house. That's happened also in for example, in Australia. A lot of people left Sydney, and a lot of people actually went out to Tasmania, to Hobart. And for myself, I left Vancouver. The cost of living in Vancouver was horrendous. It wasn't no bang for the buck. I moved to this tiny town I'm in called Merritt. A lot of people from California, a lot of people from LA County, they're moving east. They're moving to places like Nevada, like Las Vegas, Reno, Salt Lake City, Utah. And those places are seeing massive increases in housing pricing because of the intermigration within the country. Lack of a better term, people... unaffordability in the big cities, and people are moving back. But this is good because it gets to resuscitate the small towns and bring back that luster and shine, in a good point of view, in a good way, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what I was sort of hoping. That's what I'm looking forward to, is that a few years ago, this small town I wouldn't have even considered going back to. Mm-hmm. But now with the situation, it's actually starting to improve. The only issue is that they have to get on top of the meth issues and the crime issues there. But other than that, it's good for us.
And do you see the construction and renovation industry slowing down now? That there's a lot of laws being read right now. That no selling to foreigner buyers, no this, no that. You know what I'm saying?
No, I haven't seen a lot of slowing down.
Okay.
If anything, the construction industry's really booming at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's still a massive shortage on
skilled
labor.
Skilled labor, yeah. So okay, that's kind of it's kind of good that you have a plan, like a plan that's gonna work. You know, you got go into it head first, man, and just do it.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. Is that there's no you're not going to get ahead without taking some risks. So
yeah. So yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Just kind of get a good insight on what's happening there, and a good insight on what is going on and stuff. Is it okay if I talk to Brooke for a second?
Yeah,
I'm right here.
Oh, okay, Brooke. I got something to ask you.
Yeah.
Okay. Antifa. Is there any Antifa rhetoric in your neck of the woods there in New Zealand?
Well, they've started a group, but there's only 200 members of them at the moment.
200 members? That's like a decent-sized motorcycle gang.
I know.
If that was organized crime and you got 200 people, okay, that's huge. That's like a huge mob family.
I know, man. I know, but from what I've seen from the Antifa members in New Zealand, they won't get up out of bed before 12 anyway to meet up. So, there's the motivation slightly lacking with them. They'll do a lot of Facebook chat, but when it comes to organising things, I think only say there's 200 of them, maybe 15 might show up.
Oh, okay. So it's one of because right now I got a article up. It said in quotations, "Our attack is merely the beginning. Antifa vandalizes New York City GOP headquarters, warns of more violence." So the anti-fascist group is out. But can I ask you a question? Because you're pretty, you understand what's going on. You understand what's going on. So what's the point of elections that if the person that wins, that gets voted in, they don't want them? What's the point of the democracy?
Exactly. Well, what's the point?
Does that make...
Because it doesn't make any sense to me either. It's like, well, yeah, not everyone that you want to win sometimes wins, but that's just the way life is. And you sort of get on with it, and then you hope for the person that is in power to do well. Instead of... we saw some clips before of people passively banging on the door outside the Kavanagh swearing. They said a storm of protesters, and it was a couple of people sort of banging on the doors and timing as well. It was beautiful.
But is the media supporting these people like they are in the U.S. or?
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yes. Well, we kind of with our media, like at the moment, we've got that real shift. We've got a mixture of the typical sort of media, I call it circus, I guess, that you guys kind of have. We have a little bit of that, but we also have a lot of New Zealand sort of self-thinkers and a lot of grassroots people, which have worked out really well. So I think the mentality towards that is a bit... it's a bit mixed because the media says one thing, but like I spend a lot of time talking to a lot of people, and so does Josh, and a lot of our friends, and the people in general think it's a bit rubbish. Mm-hmm. So I think the media says this is what the public thinks, blah blah blah, but I think a lot of it, a lot of the public don't agree with.
It's the same thing with that. Do you remember that Stefan Molyneux video you put up that caught my attention?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay. That guys, by the way, watching, don't forget to subscribe to Brooke, Field Marshal Marshall. She is on YouTube, Field Marshal Marshall. If you want to leave a link in the comment section there on the right side for us in the chat, I'll open up your page right now, and I'll get people to vote for you. You're promising us a video a week if that's okay, and especially if you move, we want to see what's going on.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I would do that. I will just, I'll just get the mouse for the computer 1 second, and I'll chuck it in.
So,
we were watching your garage video, Mike, before.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of people telling me to not remove the garage doors. So.
Oh, really?
What, we think it's a good idea. Josh said, you know how you said you couldn't find anyone to install the windows? Josh said if you pay for his flight, he'll do it. He'll install them for you.
Okay, I got the Antifa page here, Antifa New Zealand on Facebook,
Yeah.
and it's got a 1.5 star rating
Ooh.
out of 5.
Yeah. Oh,
So
oh no, sorry. One
no,
second, sorry about that.
I'm just looking at it right now. Antifa New Zealand, Proud Boys, Antifa Fascist. Wow, they got AK-47s?
Yeah.
Holy smokes! I don't even think Fidel Castro army had AK-47s. So, what's the gun laws in New Zealand? I mean, can you carry a gun, open carry?
No.
And they mustn't be. They can't. Is that real guns? Oh my god! I haven't seen this, but
Is that real guns, Mike? Do you reckon?
I
With those ends?
think.
we've got really strict gun laws in New Zealand, and you definitely are not allowed to carry on the streets.
So you can't even have a sidearm like a sidearm?
Oh no. You're not allowed to have any weapons of any description.
Interesting.
And if the police view it as a weapon, like something that, like say for example, if you're a tradie and you had a steel pipe in your car, and you got into an altercation with someone on the way home and you didn't use a steel pipe, the police can still consider that a weapon.
Wow. So they're playing.
Yes.
What do you call that? What's that movie with Tom Cruise where they see the future of the crime before he catches them before he commits the crime?
Oh, Minority Report.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what's going on there. Where's your link, Mrs. Marshall?
Oh, sorry, I checked it in. I'll try again. I'll do it again. Hey, YouTube.
Here.
Hey.
Hold on a sec. I'll do this. Hold on. I think I know how to do this. Go to channel. I got it. I'll also make you a moderator on my page too.
Oh.
Done. Okay. Nope. I'm opening the wrong page. Here we go. There's her page right there, people. Don't forget to subscribe. And she's gonna have a huge slew of different videos coming up with her move and just stuff like that one you put up with the photos was amazing, man.
Yeah, that's so nice. That's why I love our country. It's like we have problems like everyone else, I guess, but it's still really beautiful and it's nice. I guess sometimes in amongst all the sort of riff-raff, I like to just be like, let's just stop for a moment and look at life. And I also love animals too, which is we got my friend's animals in there, so that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah. But my next video I'm going to do is debunking feminism. I found a few things that have been published the last week, which are actually almost illogical, and they contradict themselves. But I'll be doing a video about that probably next week, I think. Yeah,
and then after I'll watch the video, then we could talk about it on the show.
Yeah, man, definitely, for sure.
I wanted to ask you, so I'm not anti-gun. I don't have a problem with people owning firearms. I mean, we need firearms to hunt. We need firearms to protect ourselves. We need firearms to practice shooting at the driving range and look cool in we need to look cool in pictures, right? So so in the U.S., like they have a lot of people are allowed to carry or open carry or have permits and all that. Can you have a gun at home if you have a permit?
Like if you've got a gun license, you're allowed to own one. And if you go people go hunting and that quite a lot around New Zealand. So if you're say for example, if you've got your gun license and you've gone hunting, that's fine because you've gone hunting and that. But you can't wield it really. Like if you had it at your home, say if you had your gun license, you're allowed to store your gun at your home. But you couldn't take it to the shop with you if you wanted to pop out and get some milk.
Oh Christ! Okay. So there's a lot of lots of well, okay. Now here's the other side of the coin. Do you have a lot of gun crime violence?
Yes and no. Well, we don't, but we do have shootings, and we do have people with like obviously we've got gun crime, but it's not as massive. Our crimes, predominantly, I think the data I saw a couple of days ago, predominantly physical assaults. Or a lot of people in New Zealand, there's a trend where they attack with weapons as opposed, like, blades and weapons and things as opposed to guns. So there's a lot more of that, which is still an issue, I believe.
Okay,
yeah.
I got a little bit of stats here for you to listen to, okay?
Yeah, man.
In comparison to the United States of America, total crimes per 1,000, 108.2, ranked 5th, 3 times more than the United States by population.
Wow.
Yep. And 72 more rows. Let's check this out. Let me just check this out here. New Zealand and United States compared. Okay. Crime levels. So, ranked 50 and 55%. So, ranked 30th. Hold on. 26% more than New Zealand. So, it's ranked 50th. I'm sorry. I was reading it through the blurb. I'm actually reading the graph right here. Cannabis per capita. Yeah, it's really close, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a big gun culture in New Zealand for hunting, but there's a large gang culture in New Zealand, and they've been because of meth, they've been sort of getting more violent, and they've started escalating to gun attacks on each other.
Yeah, I had this conversation with another patron from our show, Evan from Hong Kong, and he lived in Australia himself, and I asked him, why are people smoking meth for? You know what I'm saying? Why? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I mean, I'm not promoting other drugs. Believe me, I'm not. Okay, but it's death. It's death in a bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that does. It's a real scourge here. It's actually they tried to crack down on it a few years back, but at the same time as trying to crack down on it, it seemed like the police force got smaller. So. Oh,
because crime was going down, right?
Yeah, apparently. But burglaries and theft from vehicles, assaults, unprovoked assaults, all that sort of carry on is really sort of getting out of hand these days.
Okay.
But Mike, I have quite a sort of plausible reason to believe why it affects a population so much, and this is done based on my studies of New Zealand and things like that. But it's broadly known, right, that the correlation between mental illness and drug addiction and dependency is very strong, right? And also things that predispose you to drug addiction are childhood abuse, domestic violence, poverty, etc., etc. And you can think of all those things. Now, one of the reasons I reckon it works so well in places like New Zealand is in New Zealand we have one of the worst suicide rates in the world. We have one of the worst child abuse statistics in the world. We have one of the highest homelessness rates in the world. I think the stat I saw the other day, it was about 76% of homeless people, and those are predominantly men as well. So if you think about, you've got a place, let's say a perfect environment for a place like meth to really play out, and then you get people who are dependent, and you get that whole sort of vicious cycle. And I've actually been a drug addict before. I was a drug addict for 4 years. I got out of it. I'm so lucky for it. I got out of it, so I understand how you get sucked into the mentality. It was meth as well. I'm very lucky I got out of that. But the thing is with that is I can understand why people do it, and then they get trapped. And so you've probably heard the theory of shock therapy before, where during a disaster someone comes in, takes advantage of the economic blah blah blah. It's kind of a tactic that can be used, and it's kind of the same thing with the meth. So they say they're dealing with it, but at the same time, our people are not improving mental health systems. They say they've put more funding into, but there's no evidence of that.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got the government.
It's used
saying,
it's just used for corporate takeovers. That what you're saying is it's when a huge, just like the dairy farmers are suffering in your country. Continue.
Yeah, and then there's a massive correlation as well. Like a lot of the meth comes from China, Mike.
Oh, Christ.
And like heaps of it. Like
Christ.
Our large import of meth is from China. And I'm not saying that's the only place. Obviously, you've got people who cook it in New Zealand as well.
Mm-hmm.
But sort of coinciding with the massive investors regime was also the meth influx. So they sort of walked into New Zealand together at the same time. Whether that's related or not, I don't know. But, yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just watching the video you made, and I'm digesting exactly what you're telling me. Well, Brooke, I'm going to give you some advice, okay?
Yeah, man.
And it's a good advice, because I'm going to give everyone this advice. I'm what you call a Portuguese, okay?
Mm.
There's a Chinese, there's a Japanese, and I'm a Portuguese. And you know what? You want to know what we did?
What's that?
We decriminalized all drugs in Portugal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Portugal is the only country on the planet where drugs are a sickness, not a crime.
Right.
The government created 236 dissuasion centers. Now they only have less than 100 dissuasion centers, and they had one overdose last year.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got one of the many articles that are here. 14 years after decriminalizing all drugs, here's what Portugal looks like. So in 2001, the Portuguese government did something that the United States would find entirely alien. After many years of waging and fierce war on drugs, it decided to flip the strategy entirely. It decriminalized them all. If someone found with a possession of less than 10-day supply of anything, from marijuana to heroin, or he or she is sent to a 3-person commission for a discussion of drug addiction, typically made up of a lawyer, a doctor, and a social worker. The commission recommends treatment or a minor fine. Otherwise, the person is sent off away without a penalty. A vast majority of the time, there is no penalty. 14 years after decriminalization, Portugal has not been run into the ground, but by a nation of drug addicts. In fact, by many measures, it's doing far better than it was before.
Wow.
Oh yeah, huge. But you see what I'm saying? So the violence went down. So they got the graphs here. They have lifetime prevalence, past year prevalence, and past month prevalence of usage, and it's just phenomenal. And the amount of violence went down. Are you ready for this? 77.9%.
Wow.
HIV infection rates dropped 59%.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's it. See, the Portuguese went ahead and actually said, we are legalizing, we're decriminalizing everything. And then there's another article here from a few months ago. Portugal's radical drug policy is working. Why hasn't the rest of the world copied their idea? Another article. Why hardly anyone dies from a drug overdose in Portugal anymore? And then it says here, Portugal won the war on drugs. New York Times. Portugal's drug policy a success. So that's the problem. Drugs are a sickness, and the only person that got up and actually said something about that is Jesse Ventura.
Yeah.
The former governor of Minnesota. Well, he's the only one that stood up on RT, Russia Today, and CNN, and a couple of other big news outlets and said, we got to do what the Portuguese are doing because 14 years later, it's working.
Yeah.
Yep.
So...
Yeah, I actually saw that same video clip.
Yes, and it's very important that people understand there's ways of doing things. So in your opinion, Brooke, why aren't people applying this if it's shown to work? Why?
Well, there's Several things. Money's the first one that comes to my mind. Money changes everything for everyone.
But who stands to win in this? Who is winning in this?
Not the people.
Okay.
I think the government's winning here somehow. I mean, our prison system is filled with young Māori who 95% of, smoke weed. A lot of people go to prison here for really minor drug offences.
But doesn't that throw a stress on your system and taxes and all that stuff?
Yeah. Well, the estimated corrections budget for 2017 was, I think it was 2.8 billion.
What? Say that again. 2.8 billion in prison costs?
Yes.
Pesos or dollars?
Dollars.
Oh.
Dollars.
Yeah, and when people get out of prison, try and get jobs here, you just get penalised. So it's hard. It's hard on people. It's hard on society.
And most people, because it's so difficult to get a job straight out, they just go back. What else are they going to do? They've got a family to feed. They're fresh out of jail. And I'm not saying it's the right thing to do either, but they haven't really got a choice, and so New Zealand's really bad for focusing on treating the symptoms and not the causes. So instead of looking at our prison system and going, hey, how could we prevent these young men from coming in at such influxes and leaving and then going back in and all that sort of stuff, and what can we do to help them and help prevent all this, and maybe put a little bit of that corrections budget into that, they just keep them in, get them out, they're out for a couple of months and then they go back in and they get stuck into that cycle. Some get out, some don't. So there needs to be something that's preventative as opposed to just waiting for all these people to go through the system and whatever else they go through and then go, well, now we'll pay for the prison, instead of maybe preventing them from going to prison in the first place.
Well, you see, if they legalize it, if they legalize or decriminalize all the drugs, what happens is they could regulate it better.
Yeah.
Then if they could regulate it better, then they could stop underage people from doing drugs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then if people don't get arrested and just go through go to a dissuasion center for 3 days or 2 days and speak to a lawyer and a doctor and a counselor.
Yeah.
I think that's better than spending an absorbent amount on incarceration costs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's yeah. Because the article said if you have more than 10 days supply of drugs, they'll take you in and question you. But if you have less than 10 days on you, they don't care.
Oh yeah, that's reasonable.
So
I mean, if you've got more than 10 days worth, you've got something planned, right?
yeah, it's intent to traffic, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, let's that's pretty yeah. And I want to ask you about Facebook's page purge. How do you feel about that?
What are they? Well, I haven't been keeping up with that. What's happening?
Well, they deleted 800 accounts, right-leaning accounts.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Well, I deleted my Facebook about 3 months ago, so I deleted my own page for them.
Well, no, it's a lot of right-leaning. So what? No, actual pages that had 1 million, 2 million subscribers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm talking about the big boys, the ones that sway the elections.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm pretty shocked. Read up on it. You're gonna be actually kind of shocked of what's going on and how much they're working on deleting democracy.
Yeah, well, it seems like they're doing that here as well.
Yeah.
Are they? I know. Can you go to jail for talking about another religion by chance?
I'm pretty sure there was something.
Yeah,
about that.
We've got I don't know the name of the clause.
We've got the anti-hate speech.
We've got the hate speech clause and the human rights part of the law. I can't remember what it is exactly. But the free speech laws and things in New Zealand, I looked into this before I did my video because I was like, well, if I say something, I go to jail. That would be the opposite. So I looked into it, and it's more or less saying that we have free speech, but if it is considered, what's the word they used? To be if it's considered to be worthy of prosecution, it can be considered hate speech. So that, I don't like that, because that means that whoever's maybe accusing you of hate speech, or whoever they're related to or involved with, if they're determining what that is, that changes things. Because, say, for example, what someone else might think is hate speech, I might not think is hate speech. I might just think is free speach. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, because I keep bringing this up every time. Sorry about that. Every time I bring up all the time. Just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right.
No.
So I don't know what the heck is going on. So I think.
Well, I don't understand, Mike, because I'm just assuming here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when I was growing up, and maybe when you were growing up, if someone hurt your feelings or you said something that they didn't like when you're at work, you do there's a couple of things you can do. So if someone says something rude to you, you call them on it straight away. You go, don't talk to me like that. There's that.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can ignore them. And a lot of the time you end up ignoring people because it's like if they're like a fly buzzing.
Sorry, somebody keeps calling in. Somebody keeps calling in while you're talking. Sorry. Continue. You're like a fly on the wall, or?
Oh, sorry. No. Say, for example, someone said something that's upset you or hurt your feelings, or they're around you and you can't make them leave. You just ignore them, and after a while, it doesn't do anything. If they continue to pester you, then you say, hey, leave me alone. And after the leave me alone, if they just keep harassing you, that goes to borderlines of harassment, and that's fine. But you just sort of get on with it. Like, I was a chef for 8 years, Mike, so I worked in a kitchen. There was no niceties at all. It was swearing. It was loud. There was heat.
Yeah.
There was no civics. There was no the language that we use in a kitchen. I couldn't use in an office, for example. Like, when things come in, everyone starts yelling. You get sworn at, but you don't have time to cry or anything because you've got a full restaurant. And I mean that's different. But you should kind of treat life that way, unless someone's like really harassing you. You just don't give them power, because if you start listening to all the negative things that make you feel sad and blah 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 externally, that means you're breaking down within yourself. And part of about like building great self-esteem is being able to focus on yourself as a person, and even if negativity comes around, you just sort of just swat it away. And then obviously there's a line. So if someone incites violence, that's different. I think that's something we can all agree on, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
But apart from that, I mean, it's people's feelings and all these safe spaces. I don't understand.
Like for me today, I closed my business down today, right? I'm just sick and tired of the harassment, but it's been going on for a year and a half, and there's nothing I could do about it. So it's like, okay, I'm done. There's better things in life there's better things I could be doing, right? So
prioritizing your energy on something that's going to help you.
Oh yeah, there's so much. There's a sea of things out there to do. A whole sea of money to make out there. There's just so much opportunity out there. I'm just okay. I did what I did to basically give something to the community. And it just didn't work. I tried my best, and competition's not very friendly here. So I just said, it's all yours. God bless America, and that's it.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's a learning experience. It's all learning experiences, right? So.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm looking at Captain Hamilton's statue vandalized in Hamilton's main square.
What?
Yeah, red for Antifa.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Captain John no more, not Nazi John more like, and there's a red paint all over Captain Hamilton's statue vandalized in Hamilton Square. Wow.
What a bunch of ungrateful beeps.
and people do not understand. If it wasn't for Sir Hamilton, a lot of them wouldn't be able to be doing what they're doing today.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep. And, anyways, I'm going to let you go because we've been talking for about 40 minutes now.
Yeah, man, no worries.
And thanks for all the insight, and we'll have you on again for sure, 1,000,000%. Guys, don't forget to subscribe here to Brooke's channel. She's going to be doing a video a week of, so if you want to kind of see what's happening in New Zealand and what is beautiful photos. Wow, I saw this already, but it's really nice. I've seen this like 3 times already.
Yeah, it's nice. It's good.
Yeah,
it's even better when you're there.
Yeah, it is. Of course, it's better when you're there. So yeah, I'm gonna. One day I'll ship you out a case of Dorito Cool Ranch.
Oh man, can you please?
I don't know. I don't know how customs will. I don't know if customs will let it in because it's food.
Yeah.
That's the.
Yes. And our one of the good things about New Zealand is that our biosecurity is phenomenal. Like.
Well, it was.
It was anyway, but previously, like we're pretty good with imported goods. We're quite vigilant.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've got a lot of native animal population here and things like that. But yeah.
I want to go there and... can I go there and introduce a weird rabbit where your eagle species can't support it?
No, we already had that.
We've already had that.
And then they brought in a weird disease to kill it.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I should bring in some bizarre thing from the swamp in Florida and bring it over to you guys.
Oh my gosh. It'll be like... oh, what's that movie? It's going to be like a. It'll be morph into some sort of like zombie takeover from the swamp. And it will just start the world apocalypse, Mike.
Yes.
Thank you so much for talking to us, and stay in touch.
Yes, thank you so much. Have yourselves a good night.
You too. See you later.
Bye.
See you later.
Bye.